Welcome to Movement Professional. This is my first live video. I've been doing some strength work lately, and what I wanted to do is do a video with me doing a strength movement. I'm going to do overhead press today, and then show kind of what I do in between, explain what I'm feeling and why I might be doing some of these interventions in between to improve my movement quality and hopefully improve the performance on the lifts over time. Alright, first round is going to be a set of 8. Go through it, and then I'm going to do some intermittent mobility work depending on where I feel the most restriction and what's getting in the way of the movement the most. Alright, so it felt pretty decent there. Left elbow was giving me a little bit of trouble and some tension on the inside. So what I'm going to work with is this tool here, which is just a metal instrument to kind of work on the inside of the elbow where I was feeling some tension. So in between sets, I want to try to loosen this up. I'm not going to put a lot of pressure here, but I'm just going to go right on the inside of the elbow and see if my next set there's a little less tension going there. Alright, so I'm working with higher reps for the next 2 sets. So it gives me an opportunity to kind of work on technique. So I'm not going to do as much weight, but as I get fatigued, I can also see what wants to break down. So I'll usually go for about a minute here. I'm not too concerned about how much time I'm doing in between sets. I just want to kind of get a feel that I'm loosened up. I'm not trying to go too deep. I'm just trying to feel if there's any kind of tension in the muscle that goes right to the attachment of what's called the medial epicondyle, and I just want to loosen that up. And the next set I'll see if as I get into this front rack there's a little less tension there. This side felt good. What I felt on this side was more that the shoulder didn't want to go into as much external rotation, which would mean elbow inside of the wrist. So on this side I can go right around the area of my coracoid process where the pec minor attaches. Sometimes if my shoulder's a little bit tipped forward, that might get in the way. So if I just kind of loosen that up, and just by working on putting the pressure there, I can assess side to side if there's a restriction difference, and there definitely is. It feels like there's just more tissue restriction on the left. So I'm right under my collarbone where the coracoid would be. And I'm just gonna kind of create a little bit of transverse friction tension back and forth in between sets. I may actually even move through the range of motion. Just see how that feels. Alright, this is just in between sets, and then I'm gonna assess my next set and just see if it feels better. Alright, so I'm actually gonna take a little bit of weight off. This is descending sets. My last set's gonna be a max set for reps, and just wanna see if my technique stays the same. Alright, so I'm gonna get back into it. Okay, I definitely felt a lot less tension where I was working. Left shoulder still feels different than the right. So in this set, what I want to work on is, I'm actually going to work on my hip mobility, because as I'm going overhead, if I get into too much extension, might mean my hip flexors are a little bit tight. So I'm going to try to work that out by getting into a half kneeling position. At the same time, I'm going to try to work on mobility and stability of my left shoulder. So I'm going to do that with an Indian club. All right, so I'm going to get into kind of this half kneel, bring the camera into view. So left knee down, and just reaching my knee through the ground. So my knee is in line with my hip. I want to be on the top of my foot, get my glute active, and then I'm just going to go through, make sure this knee is open so I don't hit it. I'm going to go through what's called a movement 1 with the Indian club, and I'm just trying to get behind to open my shoulder, kick out. All right, so I get horizontal or abduction, external rotation, and then I kick it out overhead, making sure that this feels stable and it's not painful. I'll do that a few times. And then I just want to find a flow and whip through while I'm maintaining the left knee back down and that hip open. So I'm just going to flow with that in between sets, not trying to fatigue myself. I just want to feel like I'm stabilizing the shoulder. All right, now I'm going to go the other way, kick it down and through. So my arms fit perfectly here. If you're trying this, well, if you've never done Indian clubs, you probably want to look into it first. But you can simply just kind of kick back and forth. These circular motions can be a little bit complex if you haven't learned them. But this really stabilizes the shoulder nicely. And then I'll look at the other side. Want to look at the other hip too. Definitely feel tighter with the left knee down. So noticing my asymmetries. Also the right shoulder just feels like it can whip the club, but the left doesn't feel quite as good. All right, so trying to make that a little bit more symmetrical just in between sets keeps the shoulder active and motion and moving. All right, go the other way. Sort of like I'm banging a drum. All right, last set, I'm just going for max reps. Alright, so I got 12 there. Happy with that set. Definitely got a little fatigue, feel the back arching, but felt like I was improving the position by doing the stuff in between. Elbow feels completely fine now. So a lot of times when you do your mobility work, if you can follow it with some type of strength work, as long as you're not too far off, you can actually improve your mobility gains and kind of cement them in place. Hope that was somewhat helpful. I might try to put these up a little more frequently. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Thanks.